black today. Good guess, though, Choose the Bear. Good guess. I'll be wearing a lot of red for Daredevil, which starts next week. Very exciting. Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's stream. Thank you, Danny. I had not expected to go live today. I had some videos planned, but that's okay. They'll just go up later this week. Instead, I was like, what's this Kathleen Kennedy news? It broke very late in the middle of the night. And so we're gonna discuss it. All right. So we actually have 3 excellent stories. All 3 of these were requests from you guys today. I got a lot of. By the way, if you're not on Twitter, I understand it's a pretty tough place these days. But I do love interacting with you guys on Twitter, and I appreciate that you all sent these stories my way. I was like, oh, I see what you would like to discuss on the live stream today. All right, let's go. Okay, so we have. I got a lot of pictures. I got a lot of notes. We're going to have a great time. Please keep your questions and comments to the story at hand. And then, of course, at the end, as always, you can ask me anything that you want for the final 10 minutes of the stream. That's right, LFG, Vitor. LFG indeed. Okay, so story number 1. Boop. Kathleen Kennedy, it's been reported, is retiring. And there was much rejoicing through the land. I feel kind of bad, some people were very aggressive. People I know were very aggressive, and I understand where they're coming from. But, I don't know. I think don't dance on someone's grave. You can be honest about it, but let's talk about it, okay? So so you can see I have a question mark here. Kathleen Kennedy to retire? We're not sure. Okay, but the source is very good. So where did this come from? So there's a newspaper, they cover all kinds of stuff. They have, they're like a small little newspaper. They cover entertainment, finance, politics, all kinds of stuff. But they have for their entertainment division, and they're behind a paywall, by the way, which has really hurt their reach. I don't understand why they insist on being behind a paywall. I think some aspects of a paywall are understandable. But I think it's, CNN's gone behind a paywall with some stories. I think Puck would be much bigger if they didn't have a paywall. So anyway, who runs Puck's entertainment division? Well, it's a guy named Matthew Baloney, who has a cameo. Let's just say. Okay, so I can't give anything away. All right, so Matt Baloney is, he used to be the editor-in-chief of The Hollywood Reporter, which is my favorite of the trades. I think they have the best, they're the best paper in my opinion. They're all owned by the same company now. Deadline, Variety, and The Hollywood Reporter are all owned by the same company. And he was, unfortunately, let go. And this is where he landed. He landed at Puck News. And I don't believe this is, I don't know if this is his story or not. But he heads up them over there. And so anytime you hear anything from Puck News, they're pretty good. I would trust anything that you hear from Puck News, which is why all the trades then quickly picked up this story. The idea is that Kathleen Kennedy will step down, retire. I'm surprised she's going to retire. Oh, that's right, Sean. He also, I believe he also has a podcast as well, Matt Baloney. So anyway, the idea is that she will retire at the very end of the year, at the end of 2025. Now, it's not official yet. It hasn't been announced by anybody, but this is now the rumor. So, people are being pretty mean to Kathy. However, I'd like to point out, everybody's awfully quick to forget that Star Wars fans are mean to everybody. They were so mean to George Lucas. They bullied him into selling off his own creation, which I think is hilarious. There he is. Look how sad he is. Look how sad he is getting $4 billion. Oh, so sad. I mean, by the way, he did a bad job too. Let's be honest. And so he left. He was like, it's not fun anymore. And he left. And so, I mean, I think that, Kathleen Kennedy likes to say it's because she's a woman, and there might be some aspect to that, although I think she created that aspect. We're going to talk about that. But I mean, Lucas isn't a woman, and he was really mercilessly bullied. So I think that's an important thing to remember. So there's a little event coming up called Star Wars Celebration. it switches years with D23. Disney's like, oh, I can only do one event a year. So they switch back and forth between D23 and Star Wars Celebration. And this year it's Star Wars Celebration in Japan at Tokyo Disney. Ah, so jealous. I would love to be there. So Tokyo Disney is doing Star Wars Celebration, and I do wonder if they'll maybe make an announcement there. I do know from what I've heard some rumblings, they're planning to go pretty big at Star Wars Celebration. I wouldn't expect, for instance, to see any major Star Wars trailers. Andor had to drop because Andor debuts right after Star Wars Celebration, so they can't wait that long. But I heard it's going to be potentially Trailer City over at Star Wars Celebration. So it's in my notes to pay attention to that. But I do wonder if maybe we'll get some kind of announcement at Star Wars Celebration in April. By the way, thank you, Christian, for gifting a membership. By the way, she really was not a presence at D23, which I think was starting to get you an idea that she was not going to be sticking around for much longer. And I wonder if she'll even be at Star Wars Celebration, because she's probably going to get booed. And I think she does not want to get booed. She didn't get booed when she presented Harrison Ford his Disney Legends Award. So I don't know. I mean, if she's leaving, don't boo her. Please don't boo Kathleen. I don't know. She was pretty aggressive herself. I think she did start the fight. Okay. All right. So let's talk about what's next. So the other thing I want to talk about is that if you really pay close attention, Bob Iger, not only did he buy a bunch of divisions, but he's been switching out division heads. So over the past couple of months, Disney Live Action has changed. The head of Disney Live Action, Disney Animation has changed, and also Star Wars is going to seemingly change who's the head of that division. So that only leaves Pixar, Pete Docter, who heads up Pixar, and Kevin Feige, who heads up Marvel. So I would be very nervous if I was any of the remaining heads. I think it's like, and I've said before that I think Iger probably needs to switch out a lot of them. But yeah, that's right, Chico. Pixar and Marvel are the last ones standing. And Bob Iger has, he has a couple of months, maybe even more of a year of his contract left, and I'll be curious to see what's done by the end. But pay attention to that as well. That's really, really striking. All right, then everybody wants to know, will it be Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau? Will they be the co-heads? Are you looking at James Gunn and Peter Safran? Well, I say because of what happened with James Gunn and Peter Safran, I think that I would advise against this. See, here's James Gunn. I don't think creatives should be the head of franchise divisions. I think that they want to do their own thing. Dave Filoni wants to make his own movies. He wants to do his own shows. Some of you are very against Filoni. Filoni really has his own stories to tell. And as you can see, not all of you love them. You really need an executive to head up franchises. Same for Jon Favreau, Johnny Favs. Jon Favreau wants to make his own movies. And I don't think he wants to be making Star Wars content for the rest of his life or for the next 10 to 15 years. I think that they're going to have to find an executive. That's what I think they have to do. Now, does that executive exist? It's very hard to find these people. Kevin Feige was like, a real diamond in the rough, because you have to find someone who's a fan of the content. And that's very difficult to do. A lot of fans don't become executives because, they want to be creatives. They want to be talent. And so it's tough. And that's right, Kay Walton. A lot of executives, I'm sure, are pretty scared to deal with fandoms these days. It'd have to be a pretty big check because look what happened to Walter Hamada, who was very well respected in Hollywood until he went to DC. And now he's been really injured, although he did end up at Paramount. All right, so the next thing is the moment that I knew that Kathleen Kennedy wasn't going to work out. It was very early on. It was right around when Rogue One came out. And she gave an interview at the New York Times. And you might remember this headline. It was 2016. That's very early. That's almost 10 years ago. And Kathleen Kennedy said she doesn't need to cater to male fans. Now, is that headline misleading? Let's look at the quote. She said, I have a responsibility to the company that I work with. I don't feel that I have a responsibility to cater in some way. I would, although you're like, well, you have a responsibility to the company that you work with. I mean, and you're done speaking. She says, I would never just seize on saying, well, this is a franchise that's appealed primarily to men for many, many years, and therefore I owe men something. First off, the whole reason that Bob Iger bought Star Wars was to appeal to male fans. Disney had no problem appealing to female fans and kids. That's why he bought Marvel, and that's why he bought Star Wars. He was like, I need guys to want to come to Disney World. He said, right now they're all running to Universal. He said, how do I get them to want to come over to Star Wars? I mean, to our stuff. And so the fact that Kathleen Kennedy was like, let's make Star Wars for girls, you were like, that's such a weird idea, Kathleen, because that's not the reason that it was purchased. And also, I'd like to say at this point, after we've seen Star Wars and Marvel try to cater to female fans, it can't be done. At least not very, it's extremely difficult. They have not shown up for the projects. So, it would be nice to add women to the fan base, but, men primarily drive Star Wars and Marvel and DC fandoms. It's I'm a fan, but I think we need to realize that guys are the driving force, because it's a numbers game, high art, you just have to sell your painting to one person. If you're making movies, you need to sell a heck of a lot of tickets, particularly for these very, very expensive movies. So when she said that, she should have said that, and she never walked it back. In fact, she's still beating that drum to this day. That women are, I don't think it's that, here's the thing, and I feel very strongly about this. I don't think that guys don't want women in the Star Wars space. I don't think that's true. I think they don't want them to come in and take it over and change it fundamentally to be something that they don't like, the guys don't like. I saw one of you say the Tea Party thing. I think that is a very good analogy. There's the old saying of like when boys and girls are little. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. That's very generous of you for gifting those memberships. But when you come over and you say, oh, I'm going to take your toy and invite it over to my princess tea party. And, the boy child is like, well, I don't want to play tea party. And, it better be one heck of a tea party if you're going to get them interested. And I think that's just an important distinction that you have to pay attention to. So it's like, certainly, you can come over to our party. We'd love to have more women in the Star Wars fandom. But you can't then take it over and wrestle it away from us. I think that's really what it was. Have some fans become too aggressive and too mean? Of course they have. But everybody's dealing with that, look at politics. Everybody in the world is dealing with that right now. That's society right now. I'm not giving us, there's certainly a core group that's problematic, intentionally so, to make money off of it. But I think it's unfair to label everybody that way. And when you do, you just drive them in that direction. And that's really a bad thing to happen for everybody. So when I tweeted this morning that I was going to cover this, one of you had a really great question for me, and you said, what is Kathleen Kennedy's legacy? Let's talk about that a little bit, okay? So this is the things that she worked on. So let me get my arrow, because there are a couple of points here. She did deliver a $1 billion trilogy. Her 3 movies all made over $1 billion. Same for the Jurassic movies. Colin Trevorrow don't get enough credit for what he did with the Jurassic World second trilogy. He revived that. And Kathleen Kennedy revived Star Wars, at least out of the gate. So I think that to some degree, she at least has that going for her. And Rogue One was also a $1 billion movie. That's 4 $1 billion movies. That's very impressive. Thank you, Devon. However, I think everybody agrees. Did I not load this photo? I forgot to load the photo. 1 second. I must bring it in. How could I forget to do that? Oh my God, it's such a big file. Okay, hold on. This is by far and away her biggest mistake that she'll never live down. I'm really accentuating it by taking so long to get it in here. All right. That she did not capitalize on bringing the original trio together when she had the opportunity to do so. She brought Han back in the first movie, then she allowed Harrison Ford to have him killed. Then Carrie Fisher tragically passed away. Then she killed off Luke Skywalker. And I think, that first movie, out of the gate, I said when they made it, when I saw it, I said, this is just a New Hope in different skins. And they admitted that. They've admitted that after the fact. They said, yes, we did remake A New Hope because we were trying to be like really careful and hedge our bets. And they never should have done that. They should have made a movie with these three people and what happened to them. I also, again, it was this thing that Disney, Kathleen Kennedy, it seems in particular, because she did the same thing with Indiana Jones. Why do you turn all of our favorite characters into giant losers? Right? It's so infuriating. Oh, what happened to Luke? What happened to Luke? He's a loser. He's not a Jedi master. He's off on some island drinking blue milk, weirdly and kind of yucky, right? And he just still is whining all the time. Oh, what happened to Han and Leia, one of the greatest romantic couples of all time? They're divorced and they hate each other. And they're sharing a kid who they messed up horribly. And Leia, who was a really cool character in the field, well, now she just sits in government and she doesn't do anything. And same for Han. He's just grumpy all the time, even though, he was really amazing. And everybody was like, that's just so bizarre. Why can't they be happy? Why can't they still be the winners that we remember? And that was just really infuriating. So that's a huge thing that she did. And that, that's on her. All right, then what else is part of her legacy? All right, where's my arrow? All right, female characters. Now this is a double-edged one. I will say that I think it's wonderful that she brought more female characters into Star Wars. And I think that the idea of a female Jedi, I think, is wonderful. Was Rey the right female Jedi to bring in there? Probably not. They shouldn't have erased the Star Wars canon, the Star Wars novels. People wanted to see that. Didn't work out very well, but I do like the idea. I like the idea of it. And I think that I like Ahsoka. I think there are great female characters that are here. However, with Kathleen Kennedy, women slowly took over every single thing here. Women were the focus of the new trilogy. Rogue One was about a female character. The Solo movie, which I don't have up here, a lot of female characters. Ahsoka and the new, Ahsoka, Rebels had a lot of male characters. Ahsoka's almost all female characters. Where's Ezra? Ezra's just in the back. You're like, should be Ezra. Obi-Wan, what took the focus away? The female villain. Even the last season of The Mandalorian, extremely female-centric. Now, everybody knows the only way that you can really help introduce female characters into a male-centric space is to make sure there are still other strong male characters. So you have to mix it up. And if Kathleen Kennedy had a mix where some projects were female-centric and some were male-centric, I think she would have been a lot better received. And the female characters would have not been fought against so hard, so much. That's right, balance, Sean. Balance. She had no balance. She aggressively went in the other direction, and that made people very angry and therefore not open to the female characters that were being created, even if they were good. Then, of course, a separate category, what about the diverse characters? Very poorly treated. Another huge mistake out of the gate was saying that Finn was going to be a Jedi, and then he ended up not only just being a stormtrooper, but a janitor. I just couldn't believe that they revealed that he was a janitor. I don't understand how, they're supposed to have a lot of people in the room. How does nobody raise their hand and be like, I think that's really offensive? And then they friend zoned him. He got friend zoned for Rey. Then Kelly Marie Tran's character came in and she had a crush on Finn, but then he actually acted in disgust when she kissed him. That was one of the worst things I've ever seen anybody do to an actress. I was like, that's so mean. Like, that's just such a mean thing to do. It's just so mean. And I think you've seen that again and again and again. I do think that these characters have been treated very poorly by certain corners of the fandom. But I think that they've almost been served up on a platter to those toxic corners of the fandom, which I think is really not cool. Thank you, Sean. So that was just really, really unfortunate. Then, as I said, lack of male characters. If Rey is the lead, I liked Felicity Jones. She was fine, although they didn't make the miniseries and/or about her, right? You know, like, if Rey was going to be the focus of the new trilogy, they should have had probably a male lead on Rogue One. I just think that, you have to mix it up. And I think that that's just the, again, balance. I think attention really needs to be paid to that. And so I think that's important. I really feel that's important. And some of you might not like it or disagree. I see, Chris, you don't agree. But look where we are. And I don't think we would be here if it wasn't for these mistakes. These mistakes are very easily discernible. And, some people might say, well, hindsight's 20/20. But I think that we all saw these problems as they were happening. And that's why you shouldn't, even if you don't like the way the news is delivered, you should still like secretly kind of listen to it and consider and be like, well, that was a really mean thing to say, but was there a kernel of truth to it? You should consider that. That's right, Chris. Andor has flipped and is now very male-centric and is much better received, interestingly enough. Although still nobody watches it. They released that trailer yesterday. I was too busy because of the DC news. I couldn't react to it. But hardly anybody paid any attention. It trended for a little bit, but, not a lot of attention. Andor is not a big driver of interest, unfortunately. But I think the bottom line, the best way to describe Kathleen Kennedy's legacy is the Acolyte. I think it perfectly encompasses everything she tried to do at Star Wars. And I think that it is very potent. It's not been distilled at all. It is just Kathleen Kennedy in show form. And I have to say, I really still liked that show for the first 5 episodes. Me too, B. Brown. I had a lot of hope for the Acolyte. I thought focusing on the Sith was a really exciting idea. I thought that the first couple of episodes were fantastic and showed a lot of promise. I really thought that the lightsaber battle was incredible. And I thought that their villain was so exciting. Just so exciting. And yeah, the idea of twins and a force divergence, this stuff was fantastic. They had really great building blocks here. But once they got past episode 5, this thing fell apart, and it fell apart very quickly, where it was very hard for anyone to defend it at the end of the day. And she really threw the Jedi into the shredder, which, again, you're like, that's really bad, Kathleen, So I felt really bad about that. And, that's right, Kari. Trinity from, Carrie Ann Moss was a great person to be a female Jedi. And, they didn't really utilize her very well. So, Alistair, I don't, I think the Harvey Weinstein correlation is, obviously something that would be disturbing, particularly how his assistants were involved in a lot of the horrible things that he did. But we don't know for sure. And I just want to point out to you that I do feel it's a little bit uncool to always say that it's to only bring it up with this person when so many people worked with Harvey Weinstein very closely. And either they didn't know or they also looked away. And so I think if you're going to call people out for working with Harvey Weinstein, I think you need to be consistent. I don't know why, it's something I really want to point out, and I do agree with, I think we have to really focus on innocent until proven guilty, right? Because a lot of people worked with him. And as some people are pointing out, some people kind of knew because some people got upset with him, and Brad Pitt and Quentin Tarantino both spoke to him about his behavior. And so I feel like if you're gonna call out people for having an association with Harvey Weinstein, you should call out everybody. I see people coming particularly hard for women, and as a woman, that really bothers me. And I just, you gotta be fair. I'm not saying I don't understand why you're saying it, but you gotta be fair. All right, so the 2 other things that I want to point out are franchises and male fans. Whether you like it or not, most franchises in Hollywood are driven by male interest. It's just the way that it is. There are certainly women in the space, but women drive other things. Women drive television, and women drive books a lot. Books is very much a female space. And that's just the way it is. And, Hollywood has been trying very hard to change it, and they can't change it. Oh, that's right. Reality TV is another good one. That's a good point. Smooth J. Yeah. I mean, maybe someday it'll be a little bit more of a balance. I mean, there are exceptions, as Mika pointed out. Women will come out for Barbie. They'll come out for It Ends With Us. But those are things that are based on stuff in the female space already that comes over to the movie space. So it's based on a very popular toy that women have loved. You know, Wonder Woman was a great example of really doing a 50-50. You know, a little more women than men went to see Wonder Woman, the first one. That's phenomenal. That's very exciting. It was very tricky what was done there. And I think you can see that while Patty Jenkins deserves credit for that, when she got rid of Zack Snyder, you know, the movie wasn't as good. So Zack Snyder, a guy, helped create that success with the first Wonder Woman. You're right, Wicked as well. Musicals, Broadway, you know, there are women can be a major component of a film's success, but they don't do it consistently. Guys go every weekend for the big movies. But Hunger Games is based on a book, Kay Walton, so that's why that's female-centric. Again, coming from the book space. So that's just the way it is. It's just the way it is, okay? So female executives in Hollywood. I really want to see female executives do well in Hollywood. I think that I cannot tell you the sadness that I have for how Kathleen Kennedy has made some people feel about female executives in these spaces. I really would hope that somebody else will be able to step up, another female executive, and show that women can operate in this space as executives, as writers, as directors. I really want to see that success. I'm hoping that can happen. But, you know, if that's going to happen, women need to learn how to make content for men. They can't come in there and be like, that's right, Jennifer Lee. You're right, Jennifer Lee. Huge damage to Disney animation for a lot of the same reasons, by the way, interestingly enough. But you can't have it that every time a woman executive comes in, she tries to make something for women, because the women aren't interested in that project, that content. So if women are going to have that kind of success in the male or dominated spaces, they need to be able to respect and understand male audiences. Amy Pascal, Mika, she's doing really well. Donna Langley, these female executives are doing pretty well, which is good. Amy Pascal does a lot of female-oriented content, though. Challengers, Little Women. I don't know how involved Amy Pascal is in Spider-Man. Jack Schaefer is very encouraging. I mean, there are glimmers of hope. Kate Herron, you know, there are glimmers of hope. But I would, you know, Margot Robbie. But Margot Robbie only works in the female space. And you know, Rashad, that's a great point. Greta Gerwig understood the importance of Ken. And she did a fantastic job. Just really a really wonderful job. And she co-wrote that movie with a guy. Noah Baumbach doesn't get any credit for Barbie. That was a team effort. And I think that's really important. But hopefully, Reese Witherspoon is a very female-oriented executive. She makes content mostly for women. So that's how I feel. I really would like to see more women emerge who can make content that men can enjoy. That's really, really important. You've returned, Hide and Seek Adventures. I love that you said that way. That's so great. Welcome back. All right. Does anybody have any questions or comments about this story? That was a long one. Whew. Oh, Adam Sphere, you're just so happy. Well, you know, we're not out of the woods yet. Let's see who they hire and what they do. Nicole, it's hard for me to say who the new Kennedy is going to be because I think it should be some executive. And we don't know our executives like we know everybody else. Davy B. Jones says another issue is that the women who like Star Wars like it for some reason, the same reason that men like Star Wars. Oh, that's a great point, Davy B. Jones. That's very interesting. You know, I'm visually oriented, which is one of the reasons I prefer comics and movies and stuff. And most women tend to be more into books, you know, the written word. And that's why they don't like comic books and movies and TV as much. Isn't that interesting? And I think that women who like this stuff are a little bit, you know, in some ways there's an overlap with like the male like brain and aesthetic and preferences, which is interesting. But yeah, I think that's something that also is to be considered. Very interesting. Aiden, I think if we get any news on Dave Filoni's new movie, it'll be at Star Wars Celebration. But I bet you everything's kind of ground to a halt that isn't moving forward aggressively yet because they need a new head and they have to decide how they feel. Noah says a woman executive needs to think, how do I get boys to try and bring their girlfriend? I don't know. I understand where you're coming from. I mean, I don't like the way that I would advise you if I were a PR person not to phrase it that way. I'll be like, don't say that to anybody. I guess you don't want a situation where the girlfriend refuses to go. I'd like it if the girlfriend was kind of excited. But I guess that maybe in some ways we have to understand that's too much to ask. I think right now Star Wars has to say, how do I get the guy to come back? Because now nobody's going. Future movie actor says, plenty I enjoy about Star Wars content over the years. That said, I do question whether or not Kathleen Kennedy had the right passion for it. Oh, I think for sure that Kathleen Kennedy is not a Star Wars fan. I'm sure she respects it, but I don't think she understands it or even wants to understand it. I bet you I don't think she likes any of that kind of content. I feel bad she's going to retire. I wish she would go back and just make other movies. She made Seabiscuit. She made some really big movies. She helped produce the Bourne Identity films. I'm like, Kathy, you don't have to go away. As a matter of fact, I would feel sad if she went away. I'm like, yes, you guys are saying, pull an Amy Pascal. As we always say, rise like the phoenix, Kathleen. Rise like the phoenix. All right, you want to boop to the next story? You guys ready? Or is it just Danny who wants to boop? Choose the Bear. She wasn't a driving force on the Bourne movies, but they were done through her company. Let's see here. Oh, Juan wants to point out that Kathleen Kennedy is the most nominated female producer at the Oscars. That's not totally fair, though, because for most of her career, she just produced Spielberg movies. I mean, I feel bad saying just, but, she started out as Steven Spielberg's assistant, and then she became his producer, and that's how she met Frank Marshall. And a lot of times, I think when you see somebody come up like that, it's so that they... it's, you have a producer that you largely control and works in your best interests. So I think that, a lot of the times she has a lot of her credits are for the Spielberg films, which were always his idea to make. A good producer comes up with a lot of ideas themselves. All right, you ready to go to the next story? Okay, let's go to the next story. Time to boop. I see a lot of boop requests at this point. Okay. Boop. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited about this. Let me tell you why. Oh, I'll tell you why I got excited. You're going to find out, but let's take our time. So why did this come out today? The Hollywood Reporter confirmed that they're doing a Punisher Disney Plus special. Well, it came out because Punisher and Daredevil Born Again. And so they're doing a lot of interviews. And they want to get you excited about the new corner of the Disney Plus streaming space. So that's why they said we might bring back Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist, and we're going to do a Punisher special presentation. So I think a lot of this is to get you to watch Daredevil, which of course debuts a week from today with 2 episodes a week from today. I wonder if they're both an hour. They've only gone out so far to Junket Press. So 2 episodes, and they only sent out 2, which is pretty useless because that's the first 2 that go up the first night. I don't know how I feel about reactions out of the gate anymore. They're always positive, and then things sometimes change. Let's see the Rotten Tomato score. I mean, I want Daredevil to be successful, but very often online reactions do not match the reviews when they come out. Like, I didn't see a lot of negative social media reactions to Captain America 4, but then those reviews were brutal. Okay, so special presentation. So they said it's not going to be a series, but it's going to be a special presentation. Now, we've had 2 of those so far. We had Werewolf by Night, and then we had Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. I enjoyed both of these. I thought that the Guardians of the Galaxy one was the better of the 2. So here's my big question, though. Is this going to be 45 minutes to an hour or half an hour like these specials were? Or is Marvel making a streaming movie. That's what I suspect. They didn't say if they were or not. I bet you that's what it is. Who wants 30 minutes of Punisher? Who wants 45 minutes of Punisher? Don't waste my frickin' time. I want a movie. Right? Michael agrees with me. I think they're going to make a movie. So John Bernthal is going to co-write this. He's going to co-write this Punisher miniseries, but it gets even better. Ronaldo Marcus Green is going to direct. Who is this? Here he is. He's going to be the director. And this guy does not get enough respect. I'm very excited once I realized who this was. And they didn't even mention his credits in The Hollywood Reporter. That's right, Mika. He did King Richard. He directed King Richard, which was an incredibly well-directed film. Really well-directed movie. I mean, it got all the attention got sucked out of the room when Will Smith obviously slapped Chris Rock the year when he won for this movie. But an incredibly well-made movie. Like, I remember when I reviewed that movie, I thought it was really well directed. I was like, this is masterfully directed. This is like a great sports movie. And then he did the Bob Marley movie, which, as you might recall, was a surprise hit. So he really knows what he's doing. The fact that he doesn't get more offers to me is very sad. But I'm glad he got this, although I'd be surprised if he just did a short special. That's why, again, I'm like, sounds like a movie to me. Sounds like Disney Plus's first Marvel streaming movie. And that would open up a lot of possibilities going forward. As we've discussed before, Kevin Feige has an extremely deep bench, too deep a bench. So if he can start doing thank you, Wes the Best. That's very generous of you. If he can start doing streaming movies and then maybe make the movies that go in theaters a little more cinematic, this would, I think, be very exciting. And I think it would alleviate a lot of pressure for him. All right, so I also think maybe this should go on Hulu, right? I mean, I suspect it would definitely be rated R. I can't imagine doing a Punisher that's not rated R. But I think it feels weird on Disney Plus. I really feel like it should be on Hulu, like it just goes better in that space. All right, so let's have some fun. Let's talk about what potential comic book storylines they could adapt. I found some really good ones. I'm not even a big Punisher fan. Okay, so a couple of them are The Punisher Born. These are Frank's formative years in the military. However, I think that this is way too expensive for them to do for a Disney Plus show. Just even for a Disney Plus movie. It's too expensive. I don't see them doing this. Although it's nice to point out that Garth Ennis is a major driving force creatively behind Punisher, and he, of course, is the co-creator of The Boys. So that's great. That's great. That's very, very exciting. So this is certainly a story they could do, but I don't expect them to because I think it would be too expensive. All right, next up, they could do this one where the Punisher was taking care of business in New York City during a blackout, a citywide blackout. I like that. I like that a lot. I can see that as, like, look at that poster. I mean, that just looks like a really good storyline for a streaming movie. I mean, I just like this quite a bit. And then my choice would be Punisher the Cell, which also mirrors his very first miniseries. So in his first miniseries, he went undercover to Rikers Island, where he, just like Rorschach said, I'm not locked in here with you, you're locked in here with me. But he took care of business inside Rikers Island. So that sounds like a fabulous idea. And then Garth Ennis would later go on to revisit that in a one-shot called The Cell, where he also went into prison and he took care of some, he couldn't get to some criminals because they were operating from the inside, and so that's what he had to do. So I think that a story that takes place all inside, for instance, a prison would be a really ideal, cost-effective setting for a Disney Plus streaming movie. Right? One location, Wanda's attorney. And then also it would be comics accurate. Oh, Matt, he can make his Punisher costume inside the prison. Get a little blood, paint a little bit of a mask on his chest. I think they could do that. Mika, you want cameos? I don't know if they can do cameos. Let's see what they do. It would have to be street-level cameos. I think clearly this is not an idea that they feel could be a movie, but I think it's a really good idea. I think it's a very, very good idea. Oh, Hayden says maybe he goes undercover on the raft. I don't think he can do that because he's not superpowered. Punisher has no powers. He's just really, really ticked off. And very good, very creative with weapons. So Sean likes, okay, you guys want a poll? Let's ask what story you would like. What storyline do you like best for Disney Plus Punisher? We'll say potential, because they're not definitely doing this. Oh, John Lithgow's, well, Tyler, John Lithgow's Dumbledore? That's great. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow. Let's see. I don't see it in the let's see if it's in the trades. Where did he confirm this? Tyler, are you making stuff up? Okay. So, let's see here. Military origin. Oh, let's see here. Military origin. Citywide. Blackout. Prison. Undercover in prison. And then, let's see here. Oh, it is confirmed. That's great. That's great. I was talking to somebody. I think John Lithgow is an excellent choice. Okay, undercover in prison, and then finally other story, please. Okay, anyone who's watching, by the way, can vote in a poll. Any other questions or comments about this story before we go to the third story of the day? Danny, I know you would have preferred a Punisher full show, but I just don't think Kevin Feige has the bandwidth for that. I mean, he's got, again, he has a ridiculously deep bench. He can't just clear, he just doesn't have the space. David wants a Nebula Disney Plus movie. Where she goes to find her home planet. I love Nebula. That would be great. Let's see here. Enter for None says, about JJ, what if Trish Hellcat has been a Skrull all along with Jessica Jones? I don't even know if they're bringing back Jessica Jones for sure. But I mean, that's an interesting question. I think we're done with Skrulls, though. Let's see here. Allegedly, Danny says if they're doing a short, would it possibly be a holiday special like Guardians or Werewolf by Night? A bloody Punisher Christmas Carol. Oh, that could work. I really would be disappointed, though. I don't think the Punisher works well in a short format. I think it would be a mistake. Jose says, how would this connect to the MCU? I'm not sure. I think that I think the Daredevil space is going to be in its own section. Raphael says, punishing in a prison might be a project that really brings back conservative. Oh, and that you wouldn't like? Well, obviously he'd be dealing with people who are horrible, hardened criminals. Let's see here. Okay, let me see. I think you guys are ready. Let me end the poll. Let me go to the next story. I think you guys are ready for the next story. All right, 56% of you prefer the citywide blackout. Isn't that interesting? 22% like undercover in prison. 13% like the other would like another story, and then only 8% want to see the military origin. Oh, that's interesting. I like that. Okay, all right. Let's go to the next story of the day. All right, story number 3. Boom, baby. Okay, this is one a lot of you were also interested in. What's going on with Netflix, IMAX, and the other studios? So Puck News also reported this, that the other studios are mighty upset with IMAX for making this deal with Netflix. And so some of you wanted it explained, so let's talk about it. All right, so the deal is that, Greta Gerwig was very, very upset, and she said she didn't even want to make this Narnia movie if it was just going to be on Netflix, and she really wanted it to have a theatrical run, and so she decided to spend her Barbie capital, I hope she didn't waste it, on getting Netflix to get this deal for her. So they agreed to a 2-week exclusive on only IMAX screens in Thanksgiving 2026. It's going to be 2 weeks on IMAX, then 2 weeks not available, and then for Christmas it'll become available on Netflix. So you can either watch Narnia in theaters for the Thanksgiving holiday, or you can wait to watch it for Christmas. It's very similar to what Encanto did. Encanto was available in theaters before heading very quickly to Disney Plus on Christmas Day. So it's not quite the Glass Onion treatment. The Glass Onion was in very few theaters. This is a major release. So she's getting 1,000 IMAX screens, just on IMAX screens. That's right, Richard Allen. It's only on IMAX screens. And it's 1,000 IMAX screens, and there are only about 2,000 IMAX screens worldwide. So that just goes to show that there are not very many IMAX screens, and that she'll have probably a little bit over 50% of the screens. Now, the reason the studios are upset is because they want the IMAX screens for Christmas. It's a movie. It's not a show, Steve. It's a movie. They want their IMAX screens for their own movies. For the holidays are a major time, and there already aren't enough premium screens as it is. For instance, the first real traffic jam happened in July 2023, where Mission Impossible got totally shut out by Barbie and Oppenheimer, which had to split the screens. Oppenheimer got IMAX, Barbie took Dolby, basically. So that was a big problem. Then, just last year, Wicked, Gladiator 2, and Moana 2 also had the same problem, where again, Gladiator 2 ended up taking IMAX and Wicked took Dolby for the most part, and then Moana sometimes would do on these screens during the day. And people had to go and see these things, it was very difficult. It was very frustrating. Even this year, Wicked for Good and Zootopia are both coming out at around the same time, and they're going to have to fight out for the screens for Dolby and IMAX. Now, what's going to happen in 2026? There are only 2 movies currently set for Thanksgiving. That's the new Hunger Games movie, which comes out like a week early, so they'll at least have 1 week on IMAX. And then Disney, as you know, releases an animated movie every Thanksgiving. That's their space. They've used it historically for at least the past couple of years. So what are they going to do? They're going to have to just fight for the Dolby? I mean, Disney Animation might move their movie up maybe to the week or before. Frozen 2 opened a week early, but then they only still get a week on IMAX. I think it's very problematic for these studios and for their holiday releases, and I think that's why they're angry. I think that's why they're really, really upset. Now, theatrical versus streaming. All these studios have their own streaming spaces now, right? But I think they want to make sure that movies stay special. And if streamers are able to come in and take the premium screens away from them, well, then it just really continues to blur the line and just put even more benefit for streaming services. Like, at least movie studios were like, well, at least we have the theaters. But now they have to fight there's just too much content. There's too much content everywhere, and now even at the multiplex. Now, IMAX has said they have a quote-unquote nuclear option that they will use if the studios try to give them any problem or pushback. And we're all like, what's the nuclear option? What on earth could you possibly do to them? Not show their movies? Then you're not going to make any money. So I'm not sure what this nuclear option is, but it's a very interesting situation. Now, obviously, as you can see, I wrote in all caps, build more premium screens. What the heck, man? Like, that's obviously the answer to this situation. They have too few screens. They have too few. I think every major multiplex in cities should have 2 Dolbys and 2 IMAXs, because this is just getting ridiculous. People want to see their movies on a premium screen. They prefer it. I know not everybody does, but I know a lot of people do. Hollywood has to make better movies because the IMAX still is filling up pretty good, but for Captain America 4, the Dolby's pretty empty. But put another movie in there, like I saw Companion in the Dolby and it was great. People not only like the screen and the sound, but they like the seats. HRC, the premium screens are expensive, but for instance, if you join AMC A-List, I'm not sure what the pricing situation is like wherever you are, but I know that in New York City, AMC A-List is, you pay basically the price that you would pay for 1 premium ticket for the whole month. And you can see as many movies as you want, including on premium screens with no upcharge. And it's just really phenomenal. And I think that that is the future of multiplexes. I prefer Dolby too, Sergio. Let's do a poll. What is your go-to movie theater choice? IMAX, Dolby. The IMAX seats are too close together. Regular screen, and then then we'll do at home. Okay, anybody who's watching, by the way, can vote in a poll. Oh, I should have done 4DX. I know some people really like 4DX. I've never experienced 4DX. I know some people who did recently, and they really had a good time. Hey, Brian Simpson. I like your avatar there. You look adorable. By the way, again, anybody can vote. I like Dolby because you have more space between everybody. They often they do a really good job with the sight lines, so it's harder for people on their cell phone to bother you. And you really have a really luxurious seat and a lot of space. I really like it. I'm a big Dolby fan. I love you, Dolby. Oppenheimer and 4DX, Isaac, it probably only did something once, right? But it probably was pretty neat. Hey, Wes. So does anybody have questions or comments about this while you guys vote? Atmosphere, you don't have any premium screens in Hawaii. Well, at least you're in Hawaii, because that kind of makes up for it. Mr. Andrews, that's a good point. I don't even think Narnia is in production. She better start making it. She has a year and a half. I mean, Avengers Doomsday comes out first, and that's only starting to film. Future movie actor says if every screen was a premium screen, it might actually make movie-going more casual again. That's sorely missed at this point. Yeah, I agree. I like just going to the movies. For me, premium screens and AMC A-List are really phenomenal. Oh, Elia, I'm so glad you're going to drive-ins. I haven't really gone to too many drive-ins, but they're really cool. They're really fun. Jordan, I'm glad you have AMC Prime or whatever, right? All right, let me close the poll. You guys are coming in here with other news stories. I love your enthusiasm. I will write down. Let me write down for tomorrow for these stories. Hold on. Okay. John Lithgow. So tomorrow we'll talk about John Lithgow and the Wonder Woman game being canceled. Big shocker there. All right. Let me close the poll. Juan says, do you think the nuclear option is IMAX not letting the studios use the IMAX equipment to shoot the films? Why would they shoot themselves in the foot, though? Oh, I'll show you. That seems ridiculous. All right, so what's your go-to movie theater choice? 33% of you prefer Dolby. 30% of you prefer IMAX. Isn't that interesting that it's almost an even split? 22% of you are happy with the regular screen, and then 13% of you will wait for home. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I mean, IMAX is fun. IMAX is fun, but I just, it's very stressful to get a ticket for IMAX. And really, if somebody's like disruptive in IMAX, they're right on top of you or right below you. It's very frustrating. All right, I think we're ready to go to the Q&A. Okay, Q&A. 10 minutes. So we're going to go till 2:37. All right. That's right, Marduk. Booyah! Oh, yeah, you should try Dolby. It's great. Verdon says, did you see that the Russo brothers said that the next Avengers movies are going to film back-to-back? Oh, that's great. Maybe because of people's availability. I'm very excited for the new Avengers movies. I mean, I just would like all these franchises to be fixed. Joe says, glad to catch a live stream here in Sydney. Oh, good day, mate. Rejoined to say, Grace, you always hit the mark for me with your... as an OG Star Wars fangirl, your comments on the need of balance are spot on. My pleasure. I'm so glad you feel that way. Vitor, I don't know if Chris Pratt's in Avengers Doomsday, but he wouldn't answer the question on the red carpet last night for that the Russo brothers. It's funny to me that they make good Marvel movies, but their non-Marvel movies are just so awful. But yeah, they have that Electric State movie that premiered last night, and I gotta tell you, I've never seen Chris Pratt look as good as he looked on the red carpet last night. I was like, damn, he's looking amazing. Adam Sphere, I've never been to Japan, but I would someday like to go. Harrison, maybe I'll watch Longlegs. I kind of like cheated and read the synopsis because I was curious if it was similar to The Monkey, and so I kind of already know the movie a little bit. Mr. Andrews, the Punisher is a smaller comic book character. I mean, he has his fan base for sure, but he's certainly not like X-Men or, you know, I mean, he's not even as big as like the Avengers of the Fantastic Four were. Doc, the Extraction movies were good, but they didn't direct those. That was Sam Hargrave, who I wish directed more movies. Joe Russo wrote those movies and they produced them, but the movies they direct themselves are pretty awful. Future movie actor, oh, Rashad, you finally saw Companion. It's good, right? So, future movie actor says, given the SAG grace, the SAG's grace, where do you think the actor and actress races are right now? I think it's between those two, obviously. I think it's either Timothy Chalamet or Adrian Brody, or I think it's Mickey or Demi. I think Demi's going to take it. I'm not so sure about actor. I think that AI thing is really bad. And that came out while they were voting for the Oscars. President Progressive says, favorite actor you have interviewed? Oh, the 3 nicest actors I ever met. Let's see if I remember them. Colin Farrell, Jude Law, they were the nicest. And then I did get, and Bill Paxton. What a sweetheart. I never actually got to air that interview. I interviewed him right before he died at Comic-Con. He was one of the nicest people I ever met. And then also I did a really fun interview for the X-Men Days of Future Past with Hugh Jackman, James McAvoy, and Michael Fassbender. And so that was really fun. Gap says, can you do an end of season review for Severance? I will, but can you do it in a New York accent? Why would I? They don't have a New York accent on that show. That's funny. I haven't seen Electric State, Adam Sphere. It just looks awful. I'm not going to watch that movie. It just looks like torture. Hey, Tony, welcome back. Noel says, do you think The Last of Us Season 2 will do well in the ratings? Well, let's see how much Joel let's see how long they can stretch out Joel. They're like, hey, Joel. Well, let's see here. Oh, Richard only thought Companion was only okay. Let's see here. Chico says, what are your thoughts on Ariana and Cynthia officially performing at the Oscars? Boy, they really did not. I think it's nice that they're performing, but I'm not quite sure why, well, with all due respect to Doja Cat, Lisa from Blackpink, and there's one other performer, I'm not sure why they're doing an ode to cinema. I mean, they're really worried about their ratings. I mean, let's see. I hope it's a fun show. Sorry, Lisa fans. I've never seen someone's spot blow up faster than Lisa's. She's on Hot Ones this week. I mean, her publicist is freaking genius. Okay, Dory says, Grace, have you heard that Tom Holland will not be filming most of his Doomsday scenes because of the Odyssey? It'll be a stunt double. I haven't heard that. I guess that's a good fix, if that's the case. He'll do the voiceover. I mean, he benefits from the fact that someone can step in, and he can just do the voice afterwards. He has to be in that movie, so it's fine with me. Let's not ruin the movie magic. Favorite candy bar? Who asked that? What a cute question. I didn't see that. Oh, Heinz. Hey, Heinz! My favorite candy bar, I like marzipan and praline. I'm not really, I guess, like for Halloween, I like Hershey's Miniatures. I'm a fan of Hershey's Miniatures. I like Snickers ice cream bars. I don't like Snickers themselves that much. Let's see here. Oh, Caliban, you remember my Michael Fassbender and McAvoy interview. That's right. I made a very inappropriate joke with them, and they got a big kick out of it. It's my improv background. Occasionally, I make very inappropriate jokes. Why are you guys all saying Ray? Thanks, Ryan K. I appreciate it. Junior says, Grace, I just want to say I love your content and streams. Thank you. You take on hard conversations head on, haters be damned. Thanks, Junior. You know, it's very stressful and scary to discuss some of these topics, but you know, either I'm doing it or I'm not. So the fact that you feel that I do it in a good job and a respectful job, I really appreciate that. Hey, Cat Shack, thank you. Hey, Noel's partner, Christian. Hello. Favorite Disney princess hairstyle, Chico? What a funny question. I don't know. I guess Princess Aurora. My favorite Disney princess movie and my favorite Disney princess for some reason. I'm going to watch Snow White to get ready for the Snow White movie. I'm going to do it. I started to do it the other day and I'm like, no, it's too early. It's too early. And then I think for a fun thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work my way through all the Disney princess movies maybe in order. I haven't decided yet for sure if I'm going to do it because some of them have not aged very well. I told you I think Cinderella has gone insane, but I might do it. Okay, I got to make my Harry Potter video. Look at all the candy choices here. I love it. I've never even heard of a Bounty candy bar. Oh, Jander says, tell us the joke. It doesn't work out of context. You got to go. The video's still up. Just look, Grace, just look beyond the trailer interview, Days of Future Past, and you'll see it's the one that Hugh Jackman crashes. Kim says, I can't wait for the Punisher to be back. That's great. I know some people who need to be Kim. Kim, are you that person who tried? I think you're who I think you are. Okay. Middle Kid 23 says, hey Grace, have you read Disney War? I want to read Disney War. I got to read it. You're halfway through it? I had to special order that damn book. It's sitting on my dresser next to my bed. I got to read it. Actually, it's in my hallway it's on my hallway on my air purifier. I was like, it'll be in my line of sight. I like to read comic books. It's hard for me to sit and read, but I will read it. Bye, Wanda's attorney. Let's see here. Nathan Gonzalez said, may I ask what life is like in New York City? I'm considering moving there to study journalism. I'd love to know your experience in life in New York City. Well, it's kind of, we're getting pretty close to the way we were in the 70s these days, but I still think it's a really exciting place to be. I think one of the things I like most about New York is that a lot of cities are reliant on like one type of business, so they feel very much like industry towns. Even Los Angeles feels very Hollywood specific. New York, you kind of feel like you're a part of everything. It feels very central to the world. You're in the middle of the United States and Europe. The time zone is a great place to be. I like being able to walk everywhere. There always is an energy, I really like New York. I would definitely visit it. I mean, if you're going to move here to study journalism, that's a great thing to do because, it'll be a short program and then you can decide if you want to stay here or not. Ryan, I'm not making anything for the Oscars. I might get some sushi beforehand, but I'm going to be live tweeting and then covering them. So I'll be working. I just want to relax. I'm going to get movie math done super fast. Just kind of chill out, watch some TV, eat my sushi, and then Oscar time. Alex says, hi Grace, what got you into reporting on reviewing movies? I've been trying to write my thoughts on the movies I watch, but struggle to write much. I guess, Alex, just think about what you want the conversation to be. I think once you figure out your entry point to the discussion, that will help a lot. I hope that advice is helpful to you. All right, it's 2:37. Let me do shout-outs. Shout-outs! All right, I haven't done shout-outs in a little bit. Where are you and what are you doing? Let me say hi. Care Bear, the Oscars are at 7 p.m. They're early this year. Don't forget, the Oscars start at 7 p.m. Not the red carpet. The Oscars start at 7 p.m. on Sunday. Hey, Jane in Madison, Wisconsin. I love your name. Oh, what a great name. I can kind of see you there. Hello. Let's see here. Jen is in Arizona. Oh, I can tell from your name. Very clever. Scores is in Denver, Colorado. Yeah, Kay Walton, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ben Verona says, I used to love Narnia as a kid. Oh, that's a question, Ben. Okay, let's see here. Goku, new member here. Chilling with our husky. Hey, new member. Hey to your husky. Tony's in Philly. Go Birds. Adam Sphere is washing his stinky dog. Sounds like a euphemism, Adam Sphere. Okay, Heinz the Adventures. Just got back from a 7-day cruise to was it Cozumel? That must have been fantastic. I'm glad you're taking care of yourself. Jose is at work in sunny California drinking some green tea. Tea is so good for you. Everybody should drink tea. I drink mostly iced tea, but I'm trying to drink more hot tea. I don't like green tea though. I only like black tea. Hey, Cosclay. Let's see here. Billy Waite says, in sunny Phoenix, taking my lunch break. Summer has been pretty much begun for us here. That's great. It's a little early for summer, but I love your zest for life. Yuvraj is in the UK, resting after a bad... Oh, you're allergic to shiitake mushrooms? Well, I'm glad it wasn't too bad a realization, and I'm glad you're feeling a little bit better. Let's see here. Bye, Choose the Bear. Mr. Andrews is in Barcelona. I just finished a job interview. Break a leg. Richard Allen is in Mississippi, the Gulf Coast. Cosplay's in Florida. Danny has a day off in Guatemala. Danny, I'm so glad you could join the stream. Well, Wes is baking brownies in the UK. Well, No, the River Nyali is in Leeds, UK. I love it. I love that you guys are both in the UK and your comments were back to back. Oasis is eating pizza, also in the UK in Nottingham, waiting for any of the Last of Us Season 2 content. I'm excited to cover the show. It's going to be great. I'm going to cover it weekly. Let's see here. Cat Shack is on the way on the train home from my late birthday party with friends. That's so great. I'm glad you were able to spend it with friends. Brett Crandall is making lunch in Kansas, while Ashamam is in Madrid looking for air purifiers. I get them from Blue Air. Blue Air makes good air purifiers. I like mine very much. Let's see here. Josh Zeitler is at the gym in Rochester, New York. On the treadmill. Don't trip. Be careful. I'm glad to keep you company at the gym. I got back in the gym the other day, back on the elliptical. I felt very proud of myself. Cosplay's eating pot pie. That's fun to do as well. Hey, Joey at the front desk. I love it. Let's see here. Just Blaze Disney is in New Jersey. Liam is chilling with my kitten, Selena. If like Selena, you have kittens, Selena and Kyle. That's very clever, Liam in Newcastle, UK. And then Dana Leary says, finishing some design projects in North Virginia. While Tony says, I was working on a Scarlet Witch film pitch while listening to your stream. I hope we were inspirational to you. And Dylan's in Boston. And Ben 10 says, I'm about to have dinner in France. Oh, that's great. Usually we catch you when you're going to sleep. So bon appetit is what I will wish you today, Ben. That's fantastic. And that's right, Chico, Daredevil is a week from today. Rashad says, I didn't get the job promotion I wanted, but the stream helped cheer me up. Oh, I'm glad you're not giving up, Rashad. There's a really famous saying, never say no to yourself because enough other people will say no to you. I mean, you should always be realistic. You don't want to be delusional. But I think that's a really important aspect in life, Always say yes to yourself. There's always going to be another chance. Just because something doesn't work. There's another really good piece of advice that I got from the movie Men Who Stare at Goats, which is a horrible movie, but this was a really good piece of advice. When you're on the right path, things will flow. But if you feel like you're fighting upstream, you're in the wrong stream. So that's a really good way to think about stuff. So I'm not saying that's the situation you're dealing with, Rashad, but just keep an eye out for that. Maybe that promotion isn't for you, but maybe there's another promotion at work, a different direction at your job that is better for you. So I think it's awesome that you applied for it. I'm sure that the powers that be at your office, at your job, appreciate that and see that, and just keep going. Just keep up with it. I'm glad we could cheer you up. That's also very important. It's important to be positive in life. All right, hey Marduk. It's beautiful. It is beautiful to see everybody from around the world. I think it's wonderful. While Asami is about to have an interview for a job at Build-A-Bear. You build those bears, Asami. You build those bears! All right, everybody. I'll see you soon. We'll probably have a live stream again tomorrow. We're burning through live streams this week. It's fantastic. Okay, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.